Okay, we're live, evidently, with Dr. Jensen, and the Dr. Jensens are going to come on, and you're going to hear from them about their fasting and their fasting experiences. Look, we're training a group of doctors, a growing group of doctors around the country to not only learn how to fast people correctly, utilizing everything that I've built up to, how to get people fat adapted, using diet variation skills, everything you've learned in the last month, we are doing in practice. I want you to hear from the Jensens. And also, obviously we're training people about the cellular detox too, and maybe we can even talk a little bit about that. But in this, you're going to gain a lot of knowledge just about fasting in general. And by the way, last night, if you didn't see last night's video, I talked about the 7 benefits about fasting, and that's important because here you are, some of you day 2, some of you moving into day 3, and you're almost there. Listen, day 2, I think it's the hardest day. If you were fat adapted and you followed the plan as we did for the last month, it's not as hard, but day 2 is the hardest day. I really believe that, especially when you're used to just going a day without eating, and then you add that second one in. I think even psychologically, day 2 is the hardest. So you get through day 2, most of you are going to be over the hump. And again, with that said, I think day 3 is challenging for some people who struggle to get fat adapted. Look, let me just do some cleaning house. Some of you are asking about the 3 things that I talk about, help with the symptoms. You can use these even after the fast, but the bind, the fast tonic, and the cyto detox, my team will put up a link to remind you that that's there. Also, the fasting mimicking diet that I'm doing and many of you are doing, going very easy, I have to say. I'm done eating my food today, but for me, I feel like I'm not even fasting. I'm going to be honest. But I know we heard the science. We're still getting autophagy and stem cells, but you know, it is, I think, really easy compared to a water fast. But look, the bottom line is, look, I've used partial fasting for many years, and I can tell you the results are sometimes better for certain people. But here's what I want to say. A lot of you said, can I break the fast with the fasting mimicking diet because it's the same as I outlined the partial fast? Great idea. My gosh, it's perfect. So you can purchase the kit and you literally utilize it to break the fast, even extend your fast 5 days, which some of you are doing. You're doing water and then extending another 5 days on the fasting mimicking diet. Great idea. Another fantastic idea that we utilize partial fasting 2 days a week for many people to help them become fat adapted and more metabolically fit, if you will. And you could buy a box and utilize 1 or 2 a week as your fasting day. Because when we typically put in these fasting days, say Tuesday and Thursday, we will tell people to stay between 500 and 800 calories and eat 1 meal. And that is a partial fast added into the week. It's powerful. Well, you could do the exact same thing. You could just eat that box of food that day, bring it to work, whatever you have to do. You could do 2 of those a week. So you can utilize the Prolone even after the fast, and those were some of the ideas that you all had, which I thought were fabulous. Couldn't believe that. So, and many of you are choosing even just to start the fast or maybe transition into the fasting mimicking diet. So there you have it. All right, do you see, Marilee, the Jensens?
Yes, Sonya's up here, so I can bring her in.
Sonya and Nick are their first names?
I'm going to add her in.
Okay.
Comes.
And then you can flip the camera for me, like this way. Tell me when she's there.
It's still adding.
Yeah, it takes a while. Make sure your internet is on, Sonya.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey guys,
There
I'm gonna flip you around. And I'm gonna flip you this way. Perfect. Hey, sometimes
Hi.
it works.
There you are.
Sometimes it works. And I love when it works. These,
Good to
look
see
at
you,
that
Dan.
good-looking couple, right? Oh my gosh.
Well, it's just like you two. I mean, we're just following your footsteps.
Yeah. Hey, well, we love you guys, and you're part of the growing group I always talk about, right? Tell me, tell our people where you're located in case there's some folks around you.
We're in Vancouver, BC, up in Canada. So the weather right now is still pretty good, but we're starting to hit that lower Celsius or Fahrenheit, I guess, as you would say it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we're glad to have you on here and, sharing some of your experience with anything really. But the fasting, okay, you all were fasting. Now you could share your own experience, but this is something that you all have now utilized in practice. Obviously, you said you're one of our group of our platinum cellular healing docs. But talk about some of those experiences.
Yeah, so for me, I was quite resistant in the beginning, and I don't think you even know this, but the first time I saw you in Vegas 2 years ago, I wanted to hit you in the face because there was no lunch break, there was nothing going on with food, and it was my first experience of fasting, and Nick had already been doing intermittent for a while, and I was, I just finished nursing, I had 2 kids, and I'm like, how can you not eat? But since then, incorporating the intermittent and then doing the block fast, now it's not a problem for me. So now I can speak to it to my patients too, especially women, because I think we usually have a bigger block than men do.
Well, I was going to say, let me ask that thing on the women though, right? Because women do have more, they do have a harder time most often with intermittent fasting as well as extended fasting, even ketosis. Did you have a harder time than Nick?
No, I actually get into ketosis very quickly, which Nick gets really mad about. So it's kind of funny, but I can get into ketosis pretty quickly. And it's also dependent on when I talk to my patients, it's dependent on where you are in your cycle, what stress is going on. I think what you said was true with women. It's how we nourish our families. So if we're not eating and we're still nourishing our family or feeding our kids, it can be even more challenging for us.
Yeah, and for our group of patients, we have a tribe. Every month we're doing some form of a fast. So fasting mimicking diet, partial fast, water fast. So they're joining in on the experience every month, and it's great. And we don't push it too hard for the women in the group because obviously it's going to affect the hormonal cycle a little bit more. But it's been amazing, and people write in all the time just saying, I can't believe I made it, and this is possible, and then the list of amazing things that shift as a result of doing the fast. So it's great for us as well, but I mean, just getting to see our patients go through it too is just, I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, and a lot of them are in your group too, so they get to hear you, and that is, I think, is really helpful. They get to see like all these people are doing it all at once, so there's a lot of support.
Yeah, the diet variation strategies are key for women doing this, right? I mean, you've seen that, right? Like even how a week before their period we go higher carb. Higher carb days during the week are key, even when women are intermittent fasting. So, again, that feast famine, you need both, especially women during fast. What are some of the, what are some, like I said, changes you've seen since you've started implementing the cellular detox and the fasting into your clinic? What have you noticed? Because you all have been into this for a while, but what have you noticed when you added this in?
Well, I think one of the biggest complaints people had was brain fog. And so brain fog, fatigue, even hormonal dysfunction, irregular cycles. And as soon as we started detoxing them and going upstream like you teach, that's made a huge difference. But it's not just the detox. We have to implement the intermittent fasting and the fasting mimicking diet. So all of that in combination, our results are tremendous, like way better than before.
Yeah, and it goes beyond just, someone coming in because of IBS or an autoimmune condition and not spending as much time trying to do the next best test, but starting to give them an experience of what it means to initiate their own innate healing intelligence. And I mean, I've seen people come out of an autoimmune crisis in 4 days as a result of getting into a fast. Someone with C. difficile, like a very opportunistic, difficult microbe that develops as a result of antibiotics. We don't look for the best probiotic anymore. We start to just say, hey, we got to do some root cause treatments here, and part of that is just stimulating that innate intelligence that happens with fasting. So it's massively transformed our practice, because for me it used to just be my own science experiment. Now we've got protocols and tools to help patients out of this dysfunction, and a lot of it has to do with just doing less. You know, we say subtractive therapy first before you start adding in all these cool new treatments, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, I really want. I appreciate you guys coming on because I really wanted these people to hear, because I talk about the doctors and we're growing group, and I'm trying to get more practitioners even to come to the seminar, right, and be a part of our group. So that's November 2nd through the 4th. I'm going to invite you again. I'm going to keep inviting you until we get a growing number of people doing this, because it's true. Nick, you said it right. You know, it's like, how many functional medicine doctors are out there today, right? Alternative. They're not going to the cause of the problems, right? It's like, I mean, how could you be dealing with autoimmune and these conditions that are plaguing America, the world, you know, that without dealing with the cellular detox work that we do and the fasting? I mean, honestly, it's just, it's remarkable. It's, you know, if you care about getting people well, you have to harness these things. I mean, we're harnessing the innate intelligence. We're removing interference, relying on the innate intelligence to heal. It's not about, like you said, it's not about another expensive test. It's not about stacking up more and more supplements on people. You have to remove the sources and rely on the innate intelligence. And that's what fasting does.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, when we went to your first seminar, just to hit that home for other doctors, it was like we were hearing truth. You know, it's like finally someone's speaking to us in a way that actually makes sense from the scope of where the body needs to go, as opposed to, like you said, all these new therapies, all these new treatments that, you know, none of us doctors remember that stuff anyways. You know, you can leave a conference and just go, I don't really know what just happened, but I think it was some good information. But when we left your conference, you know, just it hit us deeply in the heart. And I mean, you're a spiritual man. You spoke to everybody in a very passionate, purposeful way that landed, right? And that's what we're missing as doctors, that our own innate intelligence to trust the healing process within the body. And when we hear someone speaking that truth, it's like, man, we're in, you know. And so I mean, we're just such big fans of you, and you know, so grateful that we get to mentor underneath you. So
yeah, you brought us back to our roots.
Totally.
I think most functional medical doctors, naturopaths, chiros, we go in for a reason and then forget in all the chaos of jumping through the hoops to graduate.
Yeah.
And then we start treating, and we're just treating with what we know, but we forget the roots and the ancient healing, and that's so important.
Yeah, yeah. You know, and we resonate in our group around core philosophy that, you know, the body has an ability to heal itself. All we can do is remove the interference, you know, and harness that innate intelligence. That's what fasting does. You know, it just, you know, it's just the most natural way, you know, to utilize and let the body heal. You know, last night I went over the 7 benefits, right? And I talked about energy diversion and, you know, how it takes the energy and shifts it from, you know, digesting food and assimilating food, and all of a sudden it starts healing things that needed healing. I mean, it's that stinking smart. And then autophagy, so smart to get rid of all of the bad cells. And by the way, y'all watching, it's like the reason you struggle to use fat as energy, those are bad mitochondria. The autophagy process gets rid of those. Bad cells don't adapt to the stress of fasting. Simple as that. You know, and then every fast you develop better and better, more efficient mitochondria. I call it mitochondrial metabolic fitness, as you know, and it works. I mean, and then granted, some people watching this, y'all are going to struggle and you're going to have symptoms and this and that, and much of it could be due to toxins. Talk a little bit about that, because you started doing cellular detox in your office some years ago. What are some of the differences you saw with that?
Yeah, I mean, just personally, I mean, when I first started fasting, I was really irritable. You know, like the first 2 days are always a challenge for me, and you know, she's a testament to that. But I realized, even, I mean, you got us to do that coffee test, and I realized that every time I was drinking coffee, my blood sugar would spike. And you know, I was thinking, well, why is this happening? I mean, and then you throw fat in there, and it's still causing this rise. And so for me, I think it goes back to toxicity, because that response doesn't seem to happen anymore now that we've gone through the detox process. Yeah. But it's never just one thing. And I mean, it's what you teach. It's the multi-therapeutic approach, right? It's not just about fasting. Fasting is extremely powerful, and we all need to implement it. But it's implementing things together at the right time, at the appropriate time. You know, when your microbiome is ready, and when some of those genes have been deactivated as a result of our environmental stressors, and so it's not just one thing, but it's all of these things together, appropriately put into place that make the difference.
Yeah, and I always tell patients that you want to look at your mindset around that time when you're fasting too, because it is a very, very spiritual experience as well. And if you're getting sick, just thank your body. Say thank you for getting rid of this, because if you weren't fasting, all that gunk, all that toxicity would be staying in your system.
Yeah.
So now you're giving it the tools to release it. So you may not feel good before you feel better, but it's going to take time. So every fast is going to get easier. So we have seen that over time. As soon as we detox them, their next fast is like no problem.
Yeah. And for some of those people that are really insulin resistant, I mean, it's the only way to bring that insulin down is to fast them. You know, we can see those drops in the triglycerides and some of the other, you know, lipid markers that don't move with, you know, the right kind of anti-cholesterol medication or even the right diet. It's not even about that, but, you know, you have to give your body enough time and then autophagy to actually turn off or actually decrease or burn through that old energy and recalibrate your hormones. And like Sonya said,
it's like we have you know, literally diabetes and, you know, insulin resistance is taking down, you know, literally healthcare. And it's such an easy solution, but nobody's doing it, right? They're just piling up medications, you know, when really you have to challenge the mitochondria via these types of fasting and what we're doing. And then how much of diabetes is toxin related? It's estimated 35%. Well, I believe with autoimmune, it's far greater than that. So, you know, people aren't looking in the right place for the answers for why they can't use fat for energy, why they have diabetes, thyroid conditions, etc. What are some of the conditions that you all like to see in your clinic and that you're seeing and you love to see? And we'll ask how they can contact you. So give them your website.
Yeah, so I see a lot of women's health, so PCOS, endometriosis, infertility, just PMS, fatigue, autoimmunity, Hashimoto's is huge. A lot of young women coming in with Hashimoto's, and then I tend to see their kids too. And Nick kind of focuses on
like cardiovascular, autoimmune. I mean, everything revolves around gut healing and detox anyway. So, you know, there's very few cases we don't work with. You know, outside of cancer, we often refer to integrative endocrinologists or, you know, but usually, I mean, under the scope of chronic illness, it's kind of autoimmunity, cardiovascular disease, insulin resistance, or diabetes, and you know, and all of that encompasses gut health and whatnot. So
the thing is, the foundation is the same for all of it, but it's just manifesting differently for people. So we just kind of simplify to show everyone that you're not your diagnosis. This is the foundation of your body right now, and we just have to help it heal itself.
Give them your website.
Yeah, so it's we're Divine Elements, www.divineelements.ca, and Dr. Sonya has a web page as well, and obviously on Facebook and so on and so forth. And we're actually running a fasting detox retreat in February, so there's options for people to learn there as well.
That's great.
And one other thing I wanted to say just on the challenge with fasting that I talked to myself about this too, is that, you know, it's okay to struggle a little bit. You know, we're so conditioned to just, you know, move away from pain, do not go there. And, you know, fasting's not fun. I mean, I don't find it fun. I'm
only for you, I guess.
Well, yeah, maybe for you.
Yeah, but it's not fun for my wife either. You know.
Yeah, I say that there's nothing really fun about it until you get to day 4 and 5 and you start to really feel that amazing change. And it's happening on such a deep spiritual level too. I mean, the creativity that happens and comes in this process, which is why, you know, we want an immersion experience for people so that you can have someone there coaching along the way to go, you know, it's okay to feel like crap sometimes. And through this process, it will get better. And we're here to hold your hand. So, and that's what you've been doing so brilliantly, you know, even with this group here. I mean, it's amazing to see almost 12,000 people joining in on this experience that we all need to learn how to do, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank
So here they're day 2. Some people transitioning day 3. Any advice?
Oh, day 3 is hard. I'm not gonna lie. That's my worst day. Is day 3.
Yeah, I said that. I said, you know, people struggle day 2, but you know,
I don't.
But day 3, it's a toss up.
Yeah, I'm good. 1, 2, 3 comes and it's challenging. So sleep, do some yoga, meditate.
Yoga helps a lot, actually.
Yeah,
we incorporate
do some journaling. Don't go anywhere.
You know,
and personally, I'm day 2 to 3 just is not fun for me.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. I mean, we just ran a Spartan race yesterday, And I asked you, I've asked you, I said, Dan, what do we do? I'm moving into a fast after a Spartan race. This is insane. I mean, it doesn't make sense in my mind to just not eat. But then when you put on that sort of hat of understanding biochemistry, that maybe that's exactly what the body needs is for the recovery. So I did have a good meal last night. And so we're starting day 1 today, almost 24 hours in. And I measured my blood sugar. And so I was at 97 actually at midpoint through the day for blood glucose. And I was going to ask you, I'm assuming this is probably because the stress hormones are probably still running high.
Yeah.
And then my ketones, I was at 0.9. And I took some fast tonic. Here's a little tip for fast tonic. I took some fast tonic, dropped my blood glucose down by 7-8 points, and then my ketones rose up even higher. So it was interesting. I think there was some just lingering oxidative stress that my body needed to deal with.
That's it.
Helped move me in. So
yeah,
that's
exactly what it was. Yeah, and the fast tonic drops. That's why the fast tonic, it reduces these hydroxy free radicals and like nothing else. It's hydrogen. I mean, it's remarkable. I mean, it's 1,000 times stronger than vitamin C.
I want to add my 2 cents to that.
Oh yeah, go ahead. No, say hello to Marilyn.
Hey guys.
Hello.
Hi, Marilyn.
I'm taking the fast tonic and I love it. This fast, I've been
first time she ever took
I've had it twice today, and each time I've drank salt water, hit and miss, not even because I feel like I need it. But as soon as I take the fast tonic, I am like, okay. I actually chug it down. Like I don't even want to drink water typically. Yeah. Like suck it down and like, okay, I want another one of those. So
if people watch, if you go to my Cell TV, folks, I interviewed a savant. I mean, you guys know him, right? LeBaron. And I'll tell you what, he is, he talks about why hydrogen, I mean, what it does for Parkinson's, and it mimics a fasting state, for goodness sake. So, taking it during the fast, I think it definitely ups the results. Hydrogen it's not an antioxidant or an oxidant. It brings the body into balance. And that's what you need during fasting. So it works with the innate intelligence. So it's
I'm glad you guys brought that up because I think it's a powerful tool, and definitely our patients have definitely valued it as well during the fast. And like I feel it just levels the playing field, just calms the mind down actually at the same time as just correcting that blood sugar. It's literally correcting your metabolics just by taking it. So it's pretty cool what it's doing.
My my ketones were really high this morning, and but again, I'm doing the fasting mimicking diet, so it's been interesting. I didn't know my ketones would go higher or lower. So day 2, I was 3.4 this morning. So
wow.
Now you're just showing off.
Because I thought with the fasting mimicking diet, I don't know if I was going to hit those numbers or not. So I'm like pleasantly surprised because I don't know where I was day 3 last time. I kind of remember my other numbers. I hit like 7.4, 7.5, like probably day 5 though, so I'll see if I get that. But day 3, my numbers were good already. So that was a surprise to me. But I'll tell you, the fasting mimicking diet for me, I feel a little guilty. I feel like I'm not fasting. Not to rub it in there either, but I feel like I'm not. Like, it's so easy. But anyway, look, you heard the benefits. Dr. Joseph, I thought, did a great job, and Dr. James. They both were talking about it. I was trying to inspire some people to do it with me, but I pulled some along. But I think people will end up having trouble and be like, okay, I'm going to jump to the fasting mimicking diet.
Right. Well, I'm doing partial fasting, and so we'll see what my numbers are.
Okay.
Tomorrow or the day after.
And it's the same concept, right? We getting our protein below and our calories low stimulates autophagy still. That's the whole premise. So.
Yeah. How is it for you? Because you're not a snacker. So how are you dealing with the little small meals?
I'm not doing that.
You're not
yesterday I ate it all in one meal. It was too much.
Okay.
But the first day, it's like 1,000 calories. It was way too much. I told Marilyn, I'm like, oh my gosh. It's like I feel like I must just went out, and ate a massive meal. It felt like that to me. So today I broke it up in 2 meals in a 4-hour window. So so I ate it maybe my first meal at maybe 1, and then 3 hours later I finished it, or 4 hours later. It was before this, an hour ago, whatever it was. But so and that worked out a little better. So I think I'm going to keep to the 2, to break it up in 2 meals.
Right. And it's an easier segue for people to move into that before doing a water fast anyways. And the benefit's still there. So
yeah, totally. Yeah, it's way easier because,
segue.
it's mentally easier for people, right? Like going about without food. Oh my God, I'm going to die. When you watch the like y'all probably, the Naked and Afraid. I find it humorous when you watch Naked and Afraid. For us fasters, right? It's 21 days, right? And the focus is like, find food, find food. I'd be like, I'm building shelter, you know, forget food. I can go 21 days without food, you know? It's like, but they're like, they hype it up to like they're going to die, you know? It's like, well, they're going to die. And it's like, it's funny, man. They got to go in fat adapted.
Well, we noticed even on vacations that we were taking during the summer with the kids, we'd go onto the ferry and there's this huge lineup for people getting breakfast and they're frantic. And we're just sitting back and observing, like, what is going on? It's just like, they get frantic about not having food. But once you get adapted, you just your mind's at ease.
Listen, that's the world, right? Because I mean, you know, if they don't get their meal, because they're sugar burners, sugar, so they need the next meal. And meanwhile, they have all this fuel. And they're not using it. You know, it's like a big tanker on the side of the road out of gas. It can't get to the big fuel tank. It's out of gas.
So true.
I saw that once, and I thought that's the greatest analogy of the average human right there. It's the big tanker that carries the gas out of gas. I'm like, oh my God, he's got all that fuel and he can't use it. That is America and Canada.
I actually use that picture. Yeah, I was just saying, I use that picture in one of my talks, actually. I love that one. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that.
Yeah. And actually, and another one, too. Just the other day when I ran the race, everyone was sitting in the car pounding back their, you know, morning muffins and energy bars and everything else. And they were looking at me going, you know, did you eat? Do you want some? No, I'm good.
I'm eating.
I'm intermittent fasting. So it's all right here. Exactly.
I'm eating. Plenty to eat. Plenty to eat.
So for the women out there, like I used to think that I would need fuel before exercising, but I ran the Spartan race a few weeks ago and no problem. I did it on a fasting.
Pretty amazing. You guys are fat adapted athletes, that's for sure. You know, and the old concept of like all these carbohydrates. Now we have plenty of fuel on us, that's for sure. Well, listen, I appreciate you coming on, and you guys are just amazing experts in this area, and we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much.
You've given us so much. Thank you.
Absolutely. And other doctors and practitioners, there'll be a link. Get to the seminar in November. You can be one of us.
You'll meet us there.
Exactly.
We can bring more Canadians. We'll do what we can to bring some more of us down.
All right. Hey, all right, guys. And we have another guest for tomorrow night. And I'm still bringing an inspirational message, my wife, Marilyn, and I. God gave us something special. So be there tomorrow night, same time, 6 o'clock. Mountain time. See you guys.
Bye.